Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the latest episode of Overcome Yourself, the podcast. As you know, my name is Nicole, and I'm so excited to be here today with Angilie. Did I say that correctly?
Yes.
Awesome. So Angilie, take it away and tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do, how you help clients.
Yeah, it sounds good. So, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I am such a pleasure to be here with you and your audience. So, as Nicole mentioned, my name is Angilie. It's Angilie Kapoor, and I actually am a TV show host of two TV shows. I'm also a best-selling multi-book author. I have some books behind me if this is going to be on video. And then I also am a speaker, and I have a leadership coaching company called Oversight Global. And so basically, what our motto is, my team and I, my amazing team and I, is we address the consciousness crisis in the world one leader at a time. And so, how I got into what I'm doing now is I actually have a over 20-year career in the healthcare industry. About half that time I spent in management roles. And back in 2019, I really wanted to concentrate on really addressing the gap that I experienced and saw in the proper leadership training, preparation, and ongoing development in the workplace. And so that's why I became a leadership coach. And writing books and doing TV shows has just kind of come from that. So, and that's where I am today. So,
That is amazing. One of the things I talk about, I quote Brene Brown where she says, the world is starving for joy.
mhm.
We all are. So I think that is absolutely amazing that you do that. So tell us a little bit more about your journey. The name of the podcast is Overcome Yourself. So did you feel that you had to overcome yourself to get to this point? Tell us a little bit about that because you have an amazing repertoire. Like, look at all those books behind you. That's amazing.
Thank you. But yes, absolutely. To answer your question, I had to overcome myself many times, and so I very much resonate with what you talk about on the show. I really first discovered that when I got promoted into my first healthcare management position, and at that time, I was really used to being able to find my footing in a new position very quickly and be able to be performing highly very quickly, but being put into a management position was so different from any other position I've ever been promoted into. And, in hindsight, I know why that was. But at that time, I didn't realize that, shifting from being a sole contributor to being responsible for other people and the performance of your team, it's such a shift that people aren't aware of and really aren't prepared for, in your mindset and your perspective and really how you do things, how you approach things. And so at that time, I had a really hard time. I was really struggling for months trying to find my footing. And, I felt like I wasn't um, good at my job. I felt like I was failing my team. And so it was a really hard time for me. But really what happened was after several months of me being overwhelmed and struggling to figure out how to best manage and lead my team, I really had this pivotal moment of I had this, uncharacteristic blow up during a team meeting. And it really shocked me and everybody else, but it really kind of shook me into sitting down and saying, okay, so, me not knowing how to do this is really causing me to become a person that I don't know or like. And so that's really where I sat down and started to ask myself some really deep questions, like, who was I? Who had I become? How did I get here? And where was I going from here? And so that's really where my self discovery and self awareness journey started for me. And one of the first things that I really started working on was my mindset. And that's why I have written two books on mindset because it was huge for me, not really before being aware of just exactly what mindset was and just how powerful our minds really are. And, either helping us to be successful or really hindering us from being able to do things. And so I'm, really recognizing that I had a lot of inner dialogue that wasn't conducive to helping me do what I needed to do, and different limiting beliefs and fear were huge things for me, imposter syndrome in my position at work that I was in at the time. And so that was huge for me. And that's one of the things that I mainly talk about with people is mindset, because again, it's not something that we're taught in school. People kind of stumble upon it like I did later in life when they really kind of need it. Exactly. And so, that was one of the pivotal moments for me was really working on mindset and overcoming my own mind and kind of limiting beliefs that I'd had that I didn't even realize were holding me back and causing me to be really negative in some areas. So,
Yes, that is amazing. Something I talk about with my clients all the time is, we think enlightenment is like this beautiful, peaceful, like you're like on the top of a hill and the sun is setting and you're just like, I know now. And like that's not how it happens, right? It happens
no, not
in
at all.
those like terrible moments where we're uncomfortable and we snap, we say something and we're like, whoa, hold up. Hold
Yeah,
up.
exactly.
This is not me. This is not working. That's amazing. And just taking the time to really look at where you are and like, I know it's very meta, but think about what you think about. Most people do not do that. They just let thoughts happen to them and they're like, well, that's what it is. Right. And so really like taking control of the mindset and creating those habits, right? Because it is a daily thing. It's not, a mindset is not like something like you put a band-aid on it and then it's healed and now you moved on. Like, no, this is something that we've got to learn to work on every day. And in my 5-minute piece, I talk about how I've always been a leader. And ever since I was little, I was showing those leadership qualities. But back then I was called bossy, right? You're so
Mhm.
bossy.
Yeah.
And I say undeveloped leaders usually are. So I think leadership is such an important topic. Can you talk to me a little bit about how leadership looks, not just in business, but in our lives? Because we have to learn how to be like the CEO of our entire lives, learning to delegate things to like our family. Like, I'm going to let you wash the dishes. So can you talk to me about a little bit, like, for example, right, about how we can be leaders, be more present leaders, not just in business, but in our lives as well?
Oh, absolutely. I actually love that you mentioned that because that's actually we resonate very well with our approach to leadership. I, feel the same way. And that's why one of my shows is called Take the Lead, a Consciousness Movement. And it's not just about workplace leaders or business leaders. It's like you said, it's everybody, because I feel that, like you feel, is that we all are not just capable of being leaders, but we're meant to be leaders at the very minimum of ourselves and in our own lives.
Mhm.
So, that's the approach that I take with people. And that really came about with me starting to work with clients when I first started coaching years ago is, I was working with workplace managers, but I started to recognize that we weren't just working on them leading in their job. We were working on them also leading at home, like you mentioned, with their families or different relationships that they had and really wanting to have that work life balance. And so that's where I started to recognize, oh, leadership isn't just about the workplace or in a professional setting. It's being a leader of yourself and in everything that you do in every aspect of your life. And so, yeah, I totally agree with that. But, one of the things that I'm constantly talking about on my show is if you and it's kind of the mindset thing. We're so programmed by different things like societal expectations from family members or other people who, expect us to be a certain way or think a certain way or act a certain way, look a certain way. And that really creates this image of us that isn't our true selves. And so really at the core of I call it recognizing and embodying your inner phenomenal leader, and it's really kind of a analogy of discovering your true authentic self. I think that if you are able to do that, really recognize who you are at your core and not what everybody else is trying to make you be, that's really when you start leading yourself and in your own life because you're, really grabbing on to that strength and that power that you already have within you that you just don't recognize that you have. To be able to do that, it takes a major self awareness and major self knowing and liking and loving yourself ultimately so that you are able to properly lead yourself and in your own life and then extend that out to leading others like your family in different types of scenarios, including the workplace.
That's amazing. It's making me think about my like big thing, like the big discovery that I made was practicing gratitude, right? And
Yeah.
that is how I learned to appreciate the things that I got done every day, things about myself. Um, because I caught myself, for example, one of the scripts that would keep playing over and over in my head is, you haven't gotten anything done today. You haven't gotten anything done. And it didn't matter what I did. The script always said, oh, well, you haven't gotten done anything today. So, like, you got to do something else, right? And then I was able to, like, stop. I was like, wait a second. Hold on. Hold on, brain. Like, we washed dishes, we cleaned up the floor, we went and we ran this errand, we ran to the grocery store, like me and my brain, right? We did all these posts on social medias. Like, I'd be writing my book, I'd be writing 8 hours a day, and I couldn't appreciate the value in those things. So, can you talk to me about gratitude in leadership a little bit?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I love that you bring that up because it's actually one of the things that I talk about in my book and also with my clients is that, you cannot shift, whether it is trying to shift your mindset or trying to shift in, growing and improving yourself in some way. You can't make that shift from a place of judgment or from a place of comparison. It has to be from, like you mentioned, a place of gratitude. And the reason is because you first have to appreciate what you already have before you're going to energetically receive more. It's just kind of simple physics and math, right? That you're not going to get more of something if you don't already appreciate what you already have. And so I think it's really important that people think about and start utilizing the practice of gratitude. I mean, it's this, I call it our superpower. It's not anything we need to go out and learn, go to school and get a degree in. It doesn't take a lot of time. You only need a few seconds to be able to do it. But the power of it is just so amazing. I mean, it puts you in a different level of, frequency of energy. It helps you to become motivated and inspired. And, if you're kind of feeling down and negative in your energy, it is instantly picks you up. And it's just so easy to do. We all know how to do it, but we don't do it enough. And it only takes seconds to do. At first it can be hard because, if you're not used to practicing gratitude and thinking about all the things that you have to be grateful for, then it can be hard to get started. But once you kind of get into that practice, you can be grateful for everything. And like you said, it can be super small, like, oh, I'm so grateful I have this pen, or I'm so grateful I have this mug to drink out of, and all the way up to something big, like I am I'm so grateful for the life that I have, the day that I'm living, things like that. But it's really getting into that practice because then it helps shift your mindset. It helps put you in a positive mindset, a positive mood. And again, you can't grow if you're not appreciative of where you're at, really recognizing that, there might be some things in your past that you're not proud of, but that had to happen in order for you to become the person that you are today. And so, in this person that you are today, you need to be grateful for that person because that's the person that's going to help you get to that person you want to be tomorrow. And so yeah, I agree with you. Gratitude is huge.
That's amazing. And I talk about it in my book. I love talking to people and like, oh, my book. Because it's true. Like, we write out down all our great stuff, and so we can always keep referring back to it. But one of the things I talked about, it's like trying to go to the gym and do like 100 pull-ups. Like, girl, like you haven't practiced, you didn't warm
Yeah,
up.
if
Like,
you can't do one, you're not going to be able to do 100.
right? Like, it doesn't make sense, right? And then you're going to defeat it. And it's the same thing with practicing gratitude. So, like, my recommendation is start the practice with writing down 3 things. Like, there's a
Right,
huge connection between our brain and writing. So, it's really important to write. That's why one of the reasons that I incorporate that, like, writing is good for your brain. You need to do that.
right.
But writing down 3 things, and eventually they start popping up like magic. Like, you're just walking around and you'll be like, oh, I'm so grateful there's no traffic today. Or
Yeah,
I'm so grateful that I don't have to sit in traffic every day. So I could just jam right now and just be grateful. Or even going to work and as a leader at work, as a manager at work, going in and being, I'm grateful for you.
Right.
as a team member, as someone that's working for me. And I mean, imagine how that could shift an entire workplace. Instead of going in every day and you're like, oh my God, I hate everybody that I work with. They're so dumb. They don't do what I tell them. What if you could just find one thing to be grateful for? You know what? I'm grateful that you have amazing hair, Angilie. Like you do. Like that's the first thing I noticed. I was
Oh,
like, look
thank
how
you.
bouncy and cute it is. Right? You're adorable. And I'm so grateful for that. And so yeah, but just it really does change your patterns, right? Your thinking patterns and your
Mhm,
perspectives. Like it totally changed my life. Um, and like I said, it's not a band-aid thing. It's not going to be healed in one day. This is something that we have to intentionally practice and think about. And when we find ourselves like going down those rabbit holes that, you know, the thought patterns, and you're like,
right.
whoa, hold up. Let's stop right there. And let's like, where are we right now in our body? Like, what's happening? You know, telling myself I'm safe, I'm here, right? Because if not, I go into those little anxious patterns and then focusing on what am I grateful for?
Mhm.
So that is just absolutely amazing. So, Angelie, um, what is one of those like big tips, like your main tip that you share with your audience? Can you give us like a quick little, your best leadership tip right off the top of your head?
Yeah, I mean, we've really been talking about it all this time. And I think the biggest tip and the really first step for anybody who's wanting to really lead themselves and in their own lives is becoming aware. Because again, we mentioned, for me, I didn't know what mindset was, and I didn't recognize that I had these negative things flowing through my mind pretty much all the time until I stopped and I started to recognize it and started to become aware of it, and for me, that started off with me. I mean, I know it sounds weird, but it started off with me having this notebook that I carried around, and then every time that I would think something or say something, I would stop and I would think, okay, is this true? Is this something that's productive for me? What really does this thought or me saying this to myself, what does that do? What's the effect of it? And so, for several months, I would, walk around with a notebook and start writing things down and stuff like that. But it really started to create that awareness for me of, what is it that I'm saying to myself? What types of thought patterns and limiting beliefs do I have that I'm not even aware of? And so, yeah, that is my biggest tip for anybody who's wanting to, really kind of start down this road and this journey of becoming a leader of themselves and really starting to shift their mindset, and really creating a life for themselves where they don't feel like they're stuck in this forever hamster wheel, and life feels like it's groundhog day where you're just living the same thing over and over, and really feeling like you're not passionate, content with your life in any way, is really just start becoming aware of what things are going through your mind, because again, mindset is huge and it's so powerful, and I think for a majority of this, it really does hinder us and stagnate us, and we don't even recognize that.
Yes, that is amazing. Now, before we sign off, you mentioned that you have some shows and you have some books. So can you give us a quick tour of your books behind you, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So that one back there is called Mindset, the Power of the Mind. That was the first one that I wrote several years ago. And it was really me dabbling with, can I write a book? What do I want to write a book on, and what the process is and things like that. So it's more of an introduction on what mindset is. So, giving you a little history of, what our mindset is, how we developed our mindset, how it can hinder us or help us and things like that. And then my second book, which is the yellow one back there, and it also has an accompanying workbook, is my second book, and it's called Leader Mindset Activation. And it's more about the methodology that I used for myself, as well as I help walk my clients through that as well, of really first recognizing where your mindset is at, and then helping you to transition into the type of mindset that you want to have. And you've mentioned it several times that it's really becoming consistent and intentional and an everyday thing. It's not like you're saying, it's not a band-aid thing. It's not a one and done type thing. I mean, I've been doing this for several years now, and it is a daily thing. And I really tell people that it's a lifestyle change. You're going to want to be doing this for the rest of your life, and not just for 3 months and then you're done and then you revert back to what you were doing
Right.
before. That's not going to work. It's really creating daily intention and consistency. And then the last book over there is the latest one that I've been part of. It's not one that I personally wrote, but it's from Jim Britt, who is a big thought leader and speaker and coach. He's one of the top 25 coaches in the world, I think, and 50 speakers in the world. But it's his book. It's called Cracking the Rich Code, and I was able to have the opportunity to write a chapter in his book along with a few other authors, and so I'm in that book, and it's endorsed by Tony Robbins, and the forward is written by Brian Tracy. So some pretty well known people there. So yeah,
Very cool. That's
yeah.
amazing.
Thank you so much.
Yes. And tell us a little bit about your shows.
Oh
Where can we
yes,
watch them?
my two TV shows. So the first one is called Unveil Your Brilliance, and it's about helping women to overcome the illusions that are holding them back. So we go through every episode, we go through mindsets, breaking free from conformity, and then learning some brilliant strategies to help them do that. And that's on the Win Win Women TV network. And that airs every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific time. And then my other show is called Take the Lead, a Consciousness Movement, and that's on the E360 TV network. And that's pretty much for everybody. Again, we talk about anything, everything leadership. And, again, that's not just for the workplace, it's in life as well. And we make it fun by really looking at the parallels of leadership concepts in parallel to salsa and ballroom dancing. And so years ago, I got this epiphany that I wanted to do a TED Talk on that. And so when I got the opportunity to do a show, I decided I wanted to explore it all season. So that's what we do. We make it really fun and energetic. And yeah, we've had some great guests on there. And so we've talked about some amazing topics. So yeah, and that one airs Mondays at 6 p.m. Pacific time.
Awesome. That is amazing.
Thank
Do
you.
you have a free gift for the audience available?
Yeah, so we didn't talk about it here during this discussion, but the other thing that I'm really big on, it was the second kind of shift and transition that I made when I first embarked on my self-awareness and self-discovery journey, is creating and having an empowering morning routine for yourself every morning. And I kind of stumbled on that when I was reading a book at the time of a journalist who was in the process of interviewing the most successful people all over the world. And he was kind of dumbfounded because they all had this one commonality amongst all 300 of them. And it was they all mentioned to him that they have this morning routine that they do to help them be successful with their day. And so that's when I kind of dove into, what is a morning routine? What does it consist of? And so the guide that I have is a free guide. It's called 5 Tips to Designing Your Empowering Morning Routine. And it talks a little bit about the book that I just mentioned and kind of the 5 areas that I call your 5 core human components. And that's physical, mental, emotional, energetic, and spiritual. And really recognizing that you really want to create health and balance in those areas so that you are overall healthy, you have an overall healthy well-being. And so being sure to do activities in your morning that really help you to be able to have balance in those areas. So that can be meditation, journaling, exercising or stretching, things like that.
That's amazing. Oh, that's awesome. And the link for that is going to be down available in the show notes, in the comments, wherever it is that you're watching this.
Awesome.
Oh, thank you so much for being here. This has been absolutely amazing. Do you have any final tips here before we sign off?
Yeah, I mean, again, thank you so much for having me and for allowing me to be here.
Thank
And so,
you.
yeah, I mean, my final thought for everybody is just recognize that, you are a unique individual. There's nobody else on this planet like you. And so, really embrace your uniqueness and really embrace you discovering who it is that you truly are and not what everybody else is trying to tell you to be or want you to be. Find that individual, unique person that you were created to be and live the life that you are really truly meant to live. So that's my tip for you.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. This has been, like I said, absolutely amazing. Thank you for joining me. And we will see you next time. Have a great
Yes,
rest of the day. Bye,
you
guys.
too. Bye bye.